describing is the rockets moving, falling apart. For example, the Saturn V dividing up into sections, the space shuttle with its solid rocket boosters falling off. You need to gain a lot more speed. Single stage to orbit is not something that we've really done. You can think of like the 1960s rockets, the first two that sent up American astronauts. Those were single stage rockets, and they couldn't get a capsule into orbit. But I can imagine in a world where I have a well-designed rocket that you could achieve a single stage burn. I can imagine that, but I don't think that that's done. So that would be my response. I also haven't seen that movie.
Salvage One.
Salvage One.
You can find it on YouTube.
Thank you. I will. All right, we have another question.
So, as an avid Star Wars and Star Trek follower, what is our fascination? Because I can't stop.
Well, that's a little that's a question on many levels. I think a lot of it has to go back to like the Star Trek notion of going where we've never gone before. One of the reasons I love Star Trek especially is it's very imaginative, both for the places we go, but also who we become in the future. And I think that that's one of the things that I love about science fiction in general is it's a very liberating style of writing, of whether it's books or movies, is we get to see this vision of what we can be. So I'd say that that's my response. Why are we obsessed with it? That's fine. Yeah, my pleasure. So you've got there, and I've got another one in the middle right there.
Along the spectrum of sublime to absurd, where would you rate Lost in Space?
Lost in Space.
Lose it.
Yeah, that's now. If correct me if I'm wrong, is that one where they're thrown like across space by like a wormhole kind of a situation, or is that?
No, that's Star Trek Voyager.
Oh, okay. Oh! Back in the day with the Danger Will Robinson.
Yes.
Robot. That's on both. That's in that nice zone where the spectrum curves back around and meets, where it's both sublime and absurd. I love the stuff from that time period because it makes a lot of assumptions without any knowledge whatsoever. So it's just unhinged imagination. So a lot of it's wrong. The gravity, the way they travel, the aliens they meet, but it still is. It has that lovely exploration that what can you become? This kind of Swiss Family Robinson in space kind of thing. Yeah.
You mentioned impacts to our world, and I was thinking about Crater Lake in Oregon and the asteroid crater in Arizona. I don't know of any other in the world, but I was wondering how large of an asteroid would it take to do that? How old are those, and what kind of damage would that cause?
That's a great question. The big thing to think about is it's the size and the speed. So I'm going to tell you exactly how big an asteroid would be, but I can tell you that the asteroid that struck the Earth, so the meteor that struck the Earth, that wiped out the dinosaurs, is estimated to have hit with an impact power of around 100,000 nuclear bombs. I think there's 100,000 megatons. So it's absolutely devastating in terms of how much power is released on impact. The danger is less like a fiery explosion and more the dust that gets thrown into the air that you would have to worry about. But we do get hit by asteroids all the time. Just a few years ago, a fairly large one made it through our atmosphere and exploded over a populated region in Russia. And the sonic boom of its entry and breakup and explosion was enough to break windows. So even though it didn't have a massive impact in a populated area, it still had definitely an impact on people who live there. So it is something that happens. But the nice thing is that there are astronomers, both from NASA and amateur that are always looking out for these things, finding them. They actually are pretty easy to see in terms of the amount of light they reflect from the sun. So we know about them in advance most of the time, and most of them miss. Yeah. I had some questions right here in the middle. And I've got, looks like we're going to do one in the back and we'll get to you guys.
Two questions. First of all, what about noise in space?
Noise in space?
Explosions and things.
Yeah.
Second question, space debris, human space debris, screws, that sort of thing. Is that going to become a bigger issue in orbit?
Great question. So the first one's noise in space. Absolutely no noise in the vacuum of space. Thank you for that. I should have mentioned that in the air and space slide. As Alien said, in space no one can hear you scream. There is no medium through which the vibrations that we create in the vocal cords can travel. So no noise in space, even from an explosion. That doesn't mean, though, that if I were in a spacesuit and I touched something, or something touched my helmet, I would hear it inside my spacesuit, because I have a medium with me and around me. So think about that. That's actually something I would advise you to watch for in the coming thing. And then, let's see, what was your other thing? Debris, space debris. So you can look up later an idea called the Kessler syndrome. There is a lot of stuff in outer space, but space is also big. Low Earth orbit's really big. Geostationary orbit's even bigger. So debris in space is not something we have to worry about quite yet. Now, will it become an issue? Possible. That's a possible. I had two questions right here in the
And these will be the last questions, and then we'll get the movie started. Okay, guys?
The newest movie, Passengers, with Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt, I really liked it. Like the movie Aliens, though, they have people in hibernation for many years. Is there anything that you know about that science?
In terms of the specifics of the science, no, but at this point I would classify that almost as a pseudoscience. This idea of like deep freeze or suspended animation is not something that is in really any way attainable at the moment, just because you really can't stop the breakdown of human cells. It's just a natural progression of the way things work. So even if you're asleep, your cells are still regenerating, still growing. So it can't be asleep, right? And this idea of like freezing something, we know that freezing things generates a lot of cellular damage too. So it would need to be a very, 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 very refined combination of those techniques that's really just not available or even really foreseeable.
Actually, I have a comment and then a question.
Sure.
Regarding The Martian.
Yes.
Phil Plait says every writer has a get-out-of-jail-free card, and Andy's was the fact that
The storm
would never
absolutely,
happen.
yeah.
What's your opinion of Contact?
Contact. It's actually one of my favorite Alien movies. I specifically left out Aliens in this because the science of that would be that we most likely find microbial life, and they wouldn't be just us with weird foreheads like they are in Star Trek. But Contact is actually one of my favorites because it really kind of goes into this metaphysical exploration of what aliens would look like. Neil deGrasse Tyson has a great thought that aliens exist, they see us all the time, they're around us maybe even, existing on a higher plane of existence, like a four-dimensional existence that we just don't understand. And that would be an excellent reason for us to not see them if they exist in another dimension, but they have these wild abilities and existences. So that I think is actually really cool. And then the ending, I love. I think the ending of the movie is great. So I don't toss that one out. I don't just throw that away. I appreciate it. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Reminder, as you watch the movie, yes, thank you. Use brains to watch the movie. Think about your experiences, your memories. You know what's going on. A lot of times better than the filmmakers do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Enjoy the flick.